Du Young sat at his desk in the Earth's Paranormal Research Division, looking at the bright blue holographic screen floating in front of him. His coffee had gone cold, forgotten as soon as the urgent message had appeared. The words on the screen made his heart beat faster. Unexplained events on research vessel Serenity. Priority level. Maximum. He read the message again. The Serenity was Earth's newest and most advanced research ship. It had started its first journey just 3 weeks ago. Now its crew was reporting strange things that even their advanced equipment couldn't explain. Du Young pressed a button on his desk, and 3 more screens appeared in the air. Each showed a different person. Jia, who could sense things others couldn't. Ta-1, who knew everything about quantum science. And Ha-Jin, who studied strange life forms from space. "I'm sure you've all gotten the same message," Du Young said, his voice steady despite his excitement. "The Serenity needs our help." Jia nodded, her eyes showing concern. "I've looked at the initial reports. The energy readings are unlike anything we've seen before." "That's exactly why I called all of you," Du Young replied. "This isn't a normal case. The Serenity has the best technology humans have ever made. If something is happening that their equipment can't understand, we need to find out why." Tai-1 adjusted his glasses, a habit he had when he was thinking hard. "The ship uses the new quantum drive, right? That could be important. New technology sometimes opens doors we didn't know existed." "My thoughts exactly," said Ha-Jin, who was already looking through more data on her own screen. "But what's really interesting is how the crew is reacting. They're all experiencing the same strange things at the same time. That's not normal." Du Young stood up and walked to the window. The Seoul skyline sparkled in the morning sun, flying cars moving between the tall buildings like silverfish. "We leave in 2 hours," he announced. "Pack everything you might need. If the reports are right, we could be dealing with something completely new." As his team left to prepare, Du Young looked at one last piece of information on his screen. It was a message from the Serenity's captain, Yoo-Jin. "The crew is scared. Our instruments say nothing is wrong, but we all feel something here with us. Please hurry." In his 20 years of investigating strange events, Du Young had learned one important thing. When ordinary people saw things that shouldn't exist, and when good machines stopped working right, that's when you knew something big was about to happen. 2 hours later, the team met at the transport pad. Each carried special equipment they might need. Jia had her psi-energy readers, Ta-1 brought his quantum field analyzers, and Ha-Jin packed her biological scanning tools. Du Young carried only his old-fashioned paper notebook. Sometimes, he believed, the simplest tools worked best. The transport officer entered the coordinates for the Serenity. "Ready for quantum jump," she said. "The ship is currently near Jupiter's orbit." Du Young looked at his team. They had worked together for 5 years, solving mysteries that others couldn't explain. But something told him this case would be different. The Serenity was the most advanced ship humans had ever built, with the best safety systems and scientific equipment. If something was happening there that the crew couldn't explain, it had to be something beyond their current understanding of science. "Start the jump sequence," he ordered. As the transport pad began to glow with blue light, Du Young thought about Captain Yoo-Jin's message again. The crew was scared, but they were also some of the best-trained people in space. What could frighten such experienced space travelers? The blue light grew brighter, and Du Young felt the familiar tingle of quantum transport beginning. In a few moments, they would be on the Serenity, ready to face whatever strange thing was waiting for them there. The last thing he thought before the transport began was, "This is why humans are special. When we find something we don't understand, we don't run away. We try to learn more about it." Then the blue light flashed, and their journey began. The blue light of quantum transport faded, and Du Young's team found themselves in the Serenity's main transport room. Captain Yoo-Jin was waiting for them, her usual neat uniform looking wrinkled, as if she hadn't changed it for days. "Thank you for coming so quickly," she said, bowing slightly. The shadows under her eyes showed she hadn't been sleeping well. Strange things have been happening here. Things that don't make sense. Security Officer Sunmei stood next to the captain, holding a datapad. Her hand was shaking slightly as she passed it to Do-young. "This is what our cameras recorded yesterday," she said. The team gathered around to watch the video. It showed an empty hallway on the ship. At first, nothing seemed wrong. Then they all saw it. Tools floating in the air, moving against the ship's artificial gravity. But that wasn't the strangest part. The tools were forming patterns, like someone was arranging them with purpose. "Our gravity systems are working perfectly," Sunmei explained. "We checked 3 times. And look at this." She showed them another video, this time from the ship's dining area. The crew members were eating when suddenly everyone stopped, as if frozen in time. Then, all at once, they turned to look at the same empty corner of the room. "What did you see there?" Jaya asked, her special equipment already scanning the dining area. "That's the thing," Captain Eugene said. "We all saw something different. But we all felt the same fear. Some saw shadows moving. Others saw lights. I saw..." She stopped, looking uncomfortable. "I saw my grandmother, who passed away 10 years ago. She was trying to warn me about something." Taiwan was studying his quantum field analyzers. "The quantum drive readings are unusual," he said. "The energy patterns look almost alive." Hei Jin walked around the room, her biological scanners beeping softly. "There's something else," she said. "The air molecules here are behaving strangely, like they're being influenced by an unknown force." Do-young wrote everything in his notebook. "When did these events start?" he asked. 3 days ago," the captain answered. "Right after we tested the new quantum drive at full power for the first time. At first, it was just small things. Items moving a few inches when no one was looking, strange sounds in empty rooms. But it's getting worse." As if to prove her point, all the lights in the transport room suddenly flickered. A cold wind blew through the room, even though they were in a sealed spaceship. "That's impossible," Taiwan said, checking his instruments. "There can't be wind here. We're in a closed environment." Jaya's eyes went wide as she looked at her psi energy reader. "The energy levels just jumped higher than anything I've ever seen," she said. "It's like reality itself is becoming unstable here." Do-young looked at his team, then at the worried faces of the ship's crew. "Show us the quantum drive," he said to the captain. "I think whatever's happening started there." They walked through the ship's corridors, and Do-young noticed how quiet everyone was. The usual busy sounds of a working spaceship were missing. The crew members they passed looked nervous, walking quickly and keeping close to the walls. When they reached the quantum drive room, they saw why. The massive engine that powered the ship was surrounded by a faint blue glow that shouldn't have been there. As they watched, the glow formed shapes that looked almost like letters from an unknown language. "The quantum drive is working normally," Captain Eugene said. "All the readings say everything is fine. But look at it. That glow, those patterns, they're not supposed to be there." Do-young stepped closer to the drive, feeling a strange pulling sensation in his mind. "I think," he said slowly, "that your quantum drive has done more than just move the ship through space. I think it's opened a door to somewhere else, somewhere that isn't supposed to connect with our world." The blue glow pulsed, as if responding to his words. After examining the quantum drive, the team gathered in the Serenity's main conference room. Jaya sat with her eyes closed, holding her psi energy reader. The device kept making soft beeping sounds, much more often than normal. "There's a pattern to all this," Jaya said, opening her eyes. "The strange events happen most often when people are thinking about their families or their homes. It's like the quantum drive is connecting to our memories somehow." Taiwan spread his data charts on the large table. "Look at these readings," he said, pointing to several blue lines that moved up and down. "The quantum drive's energy spikes match perfectly with the times when crew members reported seeing strange things." Do-young walked around the table, looking at everyone's findings. So the drive isn't just broken, he said. It's responding to human thoughts and feelings. He-jin added her own data to the table. The air molecules I studied are changing their behavior based on people's emotions. When someone feels scared, the molecules move faster. When someone feels calm, they slow down. This isn't normal physics. Just then, one of the crew members ran into the room. "You need to see this," she said, breathing hard. "In the medical bay, something strange is happening." They hurried to the medical bay, where Medical Officer Mayray was staring at a brain scan display. The screen showed the brain patterns of several crew members, all changing in exactly the same way at exactly the same time. "I've never seen anything like this," Mayray said. "It's like their minds are connecting to each other. And look at this pattern here." She pointed to a particular wave on the screen. "This isn't a normal brain wave. It's the same pattern as the quantum drive's energy signature." Do-young took out his notebook and wrote this down. "Jia," he said, "can you sense anything unusual about these brain patterns?" Jia closed her eyes again, holding her hands near the medical equipment. "Yes," she said slowly. "The crew's thoughts are creating a kind of network, like a web of memories and feelings, and something else is touching this web. Something from somewhere else." Taiwan looked worried. "Could the quantum drive be making a bridge between dimensions?" he asked. "Maybe when we use it, we're not just moving through space. Maybe we're moving through other things too." Suddenly, all the lights in the medical bay turned blue, the same color as the quantum drive's strange glow. The brain scan patterns on the screen started moving faster. "Everyone, stay calm," Do-young said. "Remember, these events get stronger when people are afraid." As the team watched, words began appearing on the medical bay walls, glowing with the same blue light. They were Korean words, but they kept changing, showing different memories from different crew members. "This is remarkable," He-jin said, scanning the words with her equipment. "The quantum drive isn't malfunctioning. It's working too well. It's picking up everything we think and feel, and somehow making it real." "But why?" Captain Yoo-jin asked. She had followed them to the medical bay. "Why is this happening now?" Do-young looked at all the evidence they had gathered. The brain patterns, the moving air molecules, the appearing words, the shared visions. Slowly, he began to understand. "Because we're human," he said. "Humans are different from machines. We can imagine things that aren't real. We can believe in things we can't see. Maybe the quantum drive is showing us that this ability is more powerful than we thought." The blue light pulsed again, and more words appeared on the walls. This time, they weren't random memories. They formed a clear message. "The door is open. Will you come through?" The message on the medical bay wall faded away, but its effect on the crew remained. Do-young noticed how everyone stared at the space where the words had been, wondering what lay beyond that mysterious door. Their thoughts were interrupted when Security Officer Sunmi's voice came through the ship's speakers. "Emergency in Engineering Section B. Engineer Sang-ho is missing." Captain Yoo-jin immediately led the team to engineering. The other engineers were gathered around Sang-ho's empty workstation. His tools lay scattered on the floor, and his half-finished cup of tea was still warm. "The security cameras show him working here 10 minutes ago," Sun-mi reported, reviewing the footage. "Then there's a flash of blue light, and he's gone." Do-young turned to Jia. "Can you sense anything?" Jia closed her eyes, focusing her abilities. He's still here somehow, but also not here. It's like he's in two places at once." Taiwan's quantum sensors started beeping rapidly. "The energy readings are off the charts," he said. "It's similar to what happens during quantum teleportation, but much more complex." 3 hours passed as they searched the ship. The blue glow appeared and disappeared in different sections, almost as if it was leading them somewhere. Finally, they found Sang-ho in the quantum drive room, sitting cross-legged on the floor, staring at the engine with wide eyes. Sang-ho. Captain Yu-jin approached him carefully. Are you all right? The young engineer turned to look at them, and everyone stepped back in surprise. His eyes were glowing with the same blue light as the quantum drive. I saw it, he said, his voice unusually calm. I saw what's on the other side. Medical Officer Mireille ran her scanner over him. His vital signs are normal, but his brain activity is incredible. It's like his mind is processing information at impossible speeds. The quantum drive, Sang-ho continued, it's not just an engine. It's a translator. It translates human thoughts into something else, something bigger. He stood up and walked to the engine control panel, his fingers moving across the keys with perfect precision. I know how it works now. I understand everything. That's impossible, Tadwan said. Those controls took years to develop. Nobody understands them completely. But on the screens above them, complex quantum equations began appearing, showing things that even Taiwan had never seen before. He's right, Sang-ho said, still typing. Human minds are special. We can imagine things that don't exist. We can believe in the impossible. The quantum drive doesn't just move the ship through space. It moves through the space between thoughts, between dreams, between what is real and what we think might be real. Do-young watched as Sang-ho's equations filled the screens. What happened to you during those 3 hours? He asked. Time, Sang-ho replied, doesn't work the same way there. I spent years learning, understanding. But here, only 3 hours passed. He turned to face them, the blue glow in his eyes pulsing gently. They want to teach us. They want to show us how to use what makes us special. They? He-jin asked, her biological scanners working overtime. Who are they? Before Sang-ho could answer, every screen in the room lit up with the same message. The bridge is ready. Humanity's gift is the key. The quantum drive's glow grew stronger, and this time they all heard it, a sound like distant voices, speaking in a language that seemed to come from their own thoughts rather than their ears. Do-young stood in the quantum drive room, studying Sang-ho's equations on the screens. The young engineer sat nearby, the blue glow in his eyes now softer but still present. Captain Yu-jin and the rest of the team gathered around them, waiting for Do-young's thoughts. I think I understand now, Do-young said, closing his notebook. The quantum drive isn't broken. It's working exactly as it should, but it's doing more than we planned. Taiwan adjusted his glasses, looking at the complex equations. These formulas show that human consciousness acts like a stabilizing force. Our minds are actually helping to control the quantum reactions. Medical Officer Mireille added her findings. The brain scans show something interesting. When the crew works together, when they share the same goals and beliefs, the strange events become less chaotic. It's like their minds are creating a safety net. That matches what I'm sensing, Jaya said. She held up her Psi energy reader, which showed steady, organized patterns instead of the earlier chaos. The crew's shared background, their common understanding of the world, it's all helping to shape whatever is happening here. Sang-ho nodded slowly. That's what they showed me, he said. Humans are different from other beings. We can hold two opposite ideas in our minds at the same time. We can believe in things we can't see or touch. This ability makes us perfect for bridging the gap between different realities. Captain Yu-jin looked worried. But why is this happening on my ship? Why now? Because of your crew, Do-young explained. Look around this room. Everyone here shares similar beliefs, similar ways of thinking. When the quantum drive opened a door to somewhere else, your crew's minds naturally started working together to make sense of it. As if to prove his point, the blue glow from the quantum drive spread through the room. But this time, no one felt afraid. The light seemed to respond to their growing understanding, forming gentle patterns that matched the crew's calm state of mind. Ha-jin checked her biological scanners. The molecular changes I detected earlier are stabilizing too. It's like the very atoms in the air are learning to work with human consciousness. "This is remarkable," Todd once said, his earlier skepticism fading. "Our ability to imagine, to believe in possibilities, it's not just a mental trait. It's a force that can affect the physical world when focused through advanced technology." Medical Officer Mireille looked at her latest brain scans. The crew's brain patterns are all synchronized now, but everyone is still thinking their own thoughts. Unity without losing individuality. Maybe that's another special human trait. Do-Young walked to the quantum drive, watching how the blue light responded to his presence. We've always thought of human consciousness as something personal, locked inside our own minds. But what if it's more? What if our ability to share ideas, to believe in things together, is actually a power we never fully understood? The screens in the room changed again, showing new messages in simple Korean. "You are beginning to understand. Your minds are ready now." Sang-ho stood up, his eyes still glowing softly. "They want to help us learn more," he said. "The quantum drive isn't just an engine for moving through space. It's a tool for moving through the space between thoughts, between possibilities. And humans are naturally good at navigating that space." The blue light pulsed gently, and everyone in the room felt a sense of connection, not just with each other, but with something vast and wonderful that waited just beyond the edge of normal reality. The peaceful moment in the quantum drive room ended suddenly when a loud alarm started ringing through the ship. Chief Engineer Ho Seok's voice came through the speakers, sounding urgent. "Captain, we have a serious problem," he said. "The quantum drive is drawing too much power. The containment field is becoming unstable." Captain Yoo-jin rushed to the nearest computer screen. Red warning messages flashed across it, showing dangerous energy readings from the drive. "The tear between dimensions is growing larger," Todd once said, checking his instruments. "If we don't stop it, it could spread beyond the ship." The blue glow around the quantum drive turned darker, almost purple. The air in the room felt heavy, like just before a storm. Engineer Sang-ho, still connected to whatever lay beyond the dimensional tear, looked worried. "They're trying to help," he said, "but the energy is too strong. Our minds aren't working together enough to control it." Jaya stepped forward, her psi energy reader showing chaotic patterns. "The crew's fear is making things worse," she said. "Their worried thoughts are disrupting the mental harmony we had before." Medical Officer Mireille looked at her brain scan readings. "She's right. The synchronized brain patterns are breaking apart. We're losing the stability we had." Do-Young knew they had to act quickly. "Captain," he said, "we need to gather the entire crew. Jaya has an idea that might work, but we'll need everyone's help." Captain Yoo-jin nodded and spoke into her communicator. "All crew members, report to the main cargo bay immediately." This is not a drill. As they hurried to the cargo bay, the ship's walls seemed to ripple like water. Objects floated in the air, and strange sounds echoed through the corridors. The tear in reality was getting bigger. In the cargo bay, the crew gathered quickly. Do-Young could see the fear on their faces, but also their determination to help. These were Earth's best space crew members, chosen not just for their skills, but for their ability to face the unknown. Jaya stood in front of the crew. "We need to synchronize our minds again," she explained. "But this time, we need to do it on purpose. We need to think as one." Chief Engineer Ho Seok spoke up from where he monitored the drive's controls. "The containment field is at 70% and dropping. Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it fast." Tai-1 worked quickly at a computer station. "I'm modifying the ship's internal sensors to detect and amplify brainwave patterns," he said. "If we can broadcast these patterns through the ship's communication system, it might help everyone synchronize their thoughts." Jin added her own suggestion. "The air molecules respond to human consciousness. If we all focus together, we might be able to create a kind of biological containment field." The ship shuddered violently. More warning alarms started ringing. Through the cargo bay's windows, they could see space itself beginning to bend and twist in impossible ways. "Containment field at 50%, Ho Seok reported. We're running out of time. Do-young looked at the gathered crew, then at his team. They had one chance to make this work. If they failed, the tear in reality could spread beyond the ship, possibly affecting the whole solar system. The quantum drive's purple glow had spread throughout the ship now. In the cargo bay, it swirled around them like a living thing, waiting to see what they would do. In the cargo bay, surrounded by the purple glow of the quantum drive's energy, Do-young looked at the gathered crew members. They needed to act quickly to save not just the ship, but possibly the entire solar system. Everyone, please sit on the floor, Jaya instructed, her voice calm despite the danger. Form a circle. We need to connect our minds like we did before, but this time with purpose. The crew followed her instructions. Captain Eugene sat with them, showing that even the highest-ranking officer was part of this unified effort. Medical Officer Mi-Ray moved around the circle, attaching small sensors to everyone's foreheads. These will help us monitor and synchronize your brain patterns, she explained. Try to keep your thoughts calm and focused. Taiwan worked at his console, connecting the sensors to the ship's systems. The quantum drive's containment field is at 30% now, he reported. But I think I can use the ship's communication system to amplify our mental patterns. Engineer Sangho, his eyes still glowing blue, spoke softly. They're trying to help us, he said. The beings on the other side. They want to show us how to use our special ability, our human gift of imagination. The ship shuddered again. Through the windows, they could see the stars beginning to blur and shift, as if reality itself was becoming uncertain. Chief Engineer Hosiak's voice came through the speakers, tense but controlled. Containment field at 25%, he reported. Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it now. Jaya stood in the center of the circle. Everyone, close your eyes, she said. Think about why you came to space. Remember what made you want to explore the unknown. Feel how those dreams connect you to everyone else in this room. The purple glow around them began to change, showing hints of blue again. Hadjin's biological scanners picked up the change immediately. The air molecules are responding, she said. They're starting to stabilize. Keep going. Do-young felt something remarkable happening. With his eyes closed, he could sense the thoughts of everyone in the room. Not specific words or memories, but a shared feeling of wonder, of curiosity about the universe, the same feeling that had brought them all into space. The ship's speakers carried Taiwan's voice. The quantum field is changing. The human brain patterns are creating a new kind of containment field. It's like we're teaching reality how to behave. Through their connected minds, they could all sense what Sangho had learned. Humans were special because they could imagine things that didn't exist. They could believe in possibilities, and when they worked together, this ability became strong enough to shake the space between dimensions. Medical Officer Mi-Ray watched her monitors in amazement. The brain patterns are perfectly synchronized now, she said, but everyone is still thinking their own thoughts. We're not losing ourselves. We're becoming something more together. The purple glow faded completely, replaced by a steady, calm blue light. The ship stopped shaking. Through the windows, the stars returned to their normal positions. Chief Engineer Hosiak's happy voice came through the speakers. Containment field stabilizing. It's holding at 90%. No, 95%. Whatever you're doing in there, it's working. Do-young opened his eyes and saw something beautiful. The blue light wasn't just around them anymore. It was coming from them. Each person in the circle glowed softly, their shared consciousness creating a natural barrier against the chaos of the dimensional tear. 1 month after the events on the Serenity, Do-young sat in his office at Earth's Paranormal Research Division, writing his final report. The blue holographic screens around him showed data from the ship's journey, which had changed how humans thought about space travel forever. The Serenity had returned to Earth as a hero ship. Its crew had discovered something more valuable than any space treasure. They had found a new way for humans to explore the universe. The quantum drive technology, combined with human consciousness, had opened doors that no one knew existed before. The latest test results are here, Jaya said, walking into the office. She placed a data pad on Do Young's desk. The new ships are doing well. Their crews are learning to use their minds to control quantum space, just like the Serenity's crew did. Taduan and Heijin joined them, bringing their own reports. The quantum science expert looked excited as he shared his findings. The scientific community was skeptical at first, Ta-Wan said, but now they see the proof. Human consciousness really can stabilize quantum fields. We're not just moving through space anymore. We're working with it. Heijin nodded in agreement. Other species might have more advanced technology, she said, but humans have something special. Our ability to imagine and believe in new possibilities makes us natural explorers of quantum space. Through the window, they could see the Seoul spaceport, where new ships were being built. Each one had a quantum drive designed to work with human consciousness. The crews were carefully chosen, not just for their skills, but for their ability to work together and share their thoughts. Medical Officer Mayre's face appeared on one of the screens. She was now in charge of training new crews in mental synchronization. The health benefits are amazing too, she reported. When crew members learn to connect their minds through the quantum field, they become healthier and happier. They understand each other better. Captain Yu Jin's image joined the conversation from another screen. The Serenity was preparing for its next mission, with her still in command. The crew works better together now, she said. We're not just colleagues anymore. We've learned to be something more. A team that can think as one while still being ourselves. Engineer Sang-ho, who had first seen the true potential of human consciousness, was now teaching others. The blue glow had faded from his eyes, but he still understood things that most people were just beginning to learn. The beings from the other dimension didn't want to invade or harm us. He explained to his students. They wanted to show us what we could become. Humans aren't just bodies traveling through space. We're minds that can shape reality itself. Do Young finished his report with a sentence that would be remembered for generations. We thought the quantum drive was just a new way to move through space. Instead, it showed us that human imagination, when combined with advanced technology and shared purpose, can open doors we never knew existed. Outside his office window, a new ship rose into the sky, its quantum drive glowing with the same soft blue light they had first seen on the Serenity. But now the light wasn't mysterious or frightening. It was a sign of humanity's next great adventure, exploring not just the space between stars, but the space between thoughts and dreams. The universe, it seemed, had been waiting for beings like humans all along, creatures who could imagine the impossible and then work together to make it real.